Hey, Bayek, it's me, Ian, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about this film. It is The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, and it's from 1974, and it's quite special. It's a collaboration between Hammer and the Shaw Brothers Studios. Wow, this was amazing, groundbreaking. It really was. And it's my first video that I've talked about Hammer films. And I absolutely adore Hammer films. Right from the late 1950s, the Hammer horror films, right up to the 70s when Hammer films sadly just faded away. But it's such a great era producing such wonderful catalogue of films. I honestly think even a bad Hammer film is a good Hammer film because they are good. You can always find good. I don't understand a lot of criticism about Hammer. Hammer should be talked about more. It should be seen, and it is, I think, by some directors in horror genre, how important Hammer was. It really was at creating that wonderful atmosphere. And of course, it produced two great actors who worked alongside the wonderful team of directors and writers, and that was Peter Cushing and Sir Christopher Lee, who are just fantastic people. Now, this film is Peter Cushing's last film against Dracula, if you want to put it like that. Yes, it's a wonderful performance again. I mean, when does Peter Cushing give a bad performance? He doesn't. He's such a wonderful actor, Peter Cushing. He is. I can't talk enough about him. I love Peter Cushing, like Christopher Lee. They're just great actors. I mean, they are wonderful. I mean, look at the kind of things as well that Sir Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing worked in. I mean, Peter Cushing, people may forget, he actually worked on Star Wars. He took the part very seriously and did it and gave a brilliant job. He didn't complain. Everybody always had a good word to say about Peter Cushing. He was never ungrateful. I mean, you think Sir Alec Guinness, for instance, always seemed very embarrassed that he was even involved in Star Wars. He looked down on it. He was a snob. You never got that. You never ever got that with Sir Christopher Lee or Peter Cushing. And Peter Cushing was such a gentleman. You know, he just really was. But anyway, that's me going on about Peter Cushing. Let's get back to this film. Right. This film from 1974 was at the time when, well, Kung Fu, Bruce Lee, it was all around in the cinemas. It was the big news. It was the big thing. And Hammer decided a collaboration would be a great thing. So they joined up with the Hong Kong studio of the Shaw Brothers, you know. And this film was filmed in Hong Kong. And it was great. It had the Hammer feel to it, mixed with some beautiful location, great choreography of the martial arts. Now, it's directed by, well, Roy Ward Baker, who he was another one. He just knew Hammer and he gave that wonderful feel to it. And it was decided that somebody called Chang Che, another director from the Shaw Brothers, would choreography of the martial arts and was very much involved in that, as was the lead. Now, David Chiang was given the lead alongside Peter Cushing. I think they were hoping that this film would kind of push him, like Bruce Lee, into popularity about the martial arts. And he was very much involved as well in the choreography and with the director, and worked well. So that was the idea. The female lead was taken by Julie Edge. She was a Norwegian actress, model. She was a Bond girl. Here we are, another... I always get Bond connections in, don't I? Because it's that area. But she was in a Bond girl in Her Majesty's Secret Service. But she was involved, I think, in terms of how we recognise her in Up Pompeii, which was a very different kind of comedy film. And she appeared in that kind of roles. She didn't really do anything in terms of horror like this film. And she eventually just retired and went back to Norway. And I believe she became a nurse, actually. But anyhow, she adds a certain gravity. She reminds me a bit of, I don't know, a Brett Eklund kind of character. She's really good in what she does. And Peter Cushing, working along with him, she must have really learnt a lot, I'll tell you. But it is great. Anyhow, the story starts in 1804, and basically it's in Transylvania. And let's see, the Taoist monk leader of this temple of the 7 golden vampires is basically coming to Dracula and saying, "Hey, we want some help round here. We want some help, lad." And Dracula is rather trapped in there and thinks, hey, it might not be a bad idea. So he decides to take over his body like you do, and off he goes. And then we move forward 100 years, and we're in China again, and it's 1904, and there is Professor Van Helsing. Who else? Who else? Peter Cushing always plays him brilliantly. And he's a lecturer, and he's basically giving his lectures about vampirism and all these kind of subjects. And it's not really going down that well. People just think, well, there he is going on, and he's got about a month to leave because they've basically just, that's it, He's not needed anymore. They don't really get anything from him. But of course, it all changes when a group from a village come along and ask for his help against the 7 golden vampires. Yes, they are like saying that it is not a myth, that it's very real, despite everybody saying that. And then the Julie Edge character decides she's going to sponsor them and help with the expedition as they go in search of this village, which they they claim is definitely not a myth. They do these. There's eight of these. Basically, the martial arts people, if you want to put it like the martial arts guy, anyhow. And Van Helsing and his son, this middle-aged, well, I suppose she is the lady, decide to all go off on this expedition which she's funding. And there we go. That's how the story gets going. And it's beautifully done and choreographed. We get, at various points, martial arts fights. We get Peter Cushing giving his wisdom, discovering everything. It's just a great film as it moves along, and you can't help but be entertained by it. And how well filmed it is. I mean, you get the Hammer atmosphere mixed with all this martial arts, and it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. I love the mix. The mix works so well, and I can't see why anybody would not enjoy this film. It's got what you want, and it's a great combination. You're thinking, why weren't more of these films made? Because unfortunately, it wasn't a box office success. And Hammer was struggling. It was getting very near the end for Hammer as film producers. And the critics, I don't think at the time, were very kind to it. It was 89 minutes long, cost about $1 million to make. In America, they actually cut it because they just wanted more of the martial arts. And then they just totally ruined the film. And what was going to happen there? It wasn't going to be a success, and it wasn't a success. And as I say, the critics didn't like it. It unfortunately got not such a good reputation. But now, over the years, when people have actually seen the reality and watched the film, they realise that it actually was a very, very good film. It was brilliant, and it's so enjoyable. And I'm, as I say, bigging it up. Yeah, because I think it's great. I think more people should watch it, and more people would get to enjoy it. Now, unfortunately, it's this is a Scream Factory, but it's now out of print. You can't get it. If you look on eBay, you might pick it up for about 30 quid. On Amazon, there's a Spanish edition of this film for around about 15 quid. What it needs, I'm not saying it's going to get a 4K, but it needs like Arrow or somebody like that to come along and do a really good edition. And if you notice, Arrow have done lots of the Shaw Brothers. Well, I'm dreaming, aren't I? But you never know. You never know. Arrow, Shaw Brothers. Yep. So there we are. All I can say is that this film is just great. And if you haven't seen it, just try and get a copy if you can. Just try and watch it, because I think you'll like it. And I think if you start investigating Hammer as a whole, the history of Hammer, you'll find a real rich catalogue of films. And I'm going to start promoting some of these films. And some boutique labels have also cottoned onto this as well. So there have been one or two Hammer updates and releases, so all is not lost. I mean, the problem with this is, for me, there's not enough extras on it. You know, there's a few extras. The documentary is quite good and gives you a nice perspective of that time. And plus, The interview with David Chang is really good because you get a lovely insight into Peter Cushing as well, and how much he learned from that experience. You know, what a great man. We talk about Peter Cushing, as I said before. Anyway, I'm going on and on and on, but there we are. I just say, look, here it is, The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires. Great film. What more can I say? Just love it. Well, that's it. All I can say now is subscribe. If you like this, what I'm doing, if you don't, just give it a like. I don't know, whatever you do or whatever you decide. And I've just got one more thing to say to you. And that is, I'll see thee, and I'll see thee again.